event, and we're really honored and thrilled to have some really key guests and allies, I think, in the overall cause which PFF embodies. I wanted to just make quick introductions of those visitors. We have Mayor Walsh here from the Mayor's Office, Councilor Edwards, who just joined us, Undersecretary Fuller, right there, and Senator DiDomenico, I think, will be joining us for the ribbon cutting, and Representative Ryan. These are all really key leaders, and I think their presence is a testimony to the ways in which the private sector and government have worked together in Boston to make it really one of the great urban hubs of innovation in the world. And that's really how PFF came to be founded in Boston. We have a tremendous set of resources in our universities, our research capabilities, our labs, and the kind of talent pool that comes out of those institutions is obviously a key component. But we also have one of the most vibrant robotics communities anywhere in the world. Even though PFF is a company that derives from the Piaggio Group, which is an 135-year-old company, I'm not sure you can say that about very many companies in the world. It's always been in the mobility business. We are the innovation wing of that 135-year-old venture. And from the foundation of the company in 2015, our focus has really been on the same basic DNA, which is light mobility, but it's light mobility informed by, imagined in terms of the technologies that are reshaping the world today, which is why we are a robotics company focused on themes of mobility. As our guests have probably noticed, we're all wearing a t-shirt here, which actually kind of tells the PFF story. Piaggio Fast Forward was really a company that started out as a blue sky effort to try to imagine new kinds of vehicles that would help people to make mobility choices that not only accomplish fundamental functions, that fulfill fundamental necessities of life, but that are also deeply embedded in what we believe to be the defining features of what makes up the quality of life in cities and towns today. And one of the statistics that really struck us when Greg and I first started leading a team of researchers and designers and technologists was that people, when they talk about what is the most pleasurable, satisfying, meaningful way to move around the world, there's almost universal agreement in every culture that walking is the best way to move around. But if you look at a country like our own, some 10 to 20% of trips that are made for 1 mile or less are made in automobiles. So people say they love walking, but they don't walk. So what is the reason that they don't walk? That there's a discrepancy between this kind of ideal way of moving around the world and the way that they actually do. A lot of it has to do with moving stuff around, with the difficulties of moving around, particularly people who have mobility challenges, who aren't well served by an automobile-centered model of mobility. So Piaggio Fast Forward really was born out of this urge to create new kinds of smart vehicles that would support a larger vision of the city, of the walkable city, of cities where people re-engage to that kind of neighborhood scale, where they move around, whether it's for pleasure, whether it's for work, whether it's interacting with other people, with friends. They move around and, in a sense, perform that form of autonomy that's the defining feature of humans as bipeds, which is that we walk. Anyhow, we're really thrilled to have all of you here. When it came to deciding where to locate our manufacturing facility, we chose to go local because for a number of the reasons I already mentioned, but also because we're really excited about the prospect of the kind of flexibility and nimbleness that this gives us. To have our headquarters here, and then just right down the street, we've got our manufacturing facility. And we think, particularly working with municipal authorities, with state authorities, we have really the opportunity to model the future of mobility, to model the future of cities. And that's why we're so thrilled, in particular, to have Mayor Walsh here. So hand the baton over to you, Mayor Walsh.
Let me add, first of all, congratulations to everyone. I didn't get the shirt when I first walked in. I saw the uniform, and I like it. And then I started looking at the shirt and the evolution of traveling, if you will, of carrying stuff, or whatever you want to call it. Thank you for being here today. With us today, as already mentioned, City Councilor Lydia Edwards, Danny Ryan, State Representative, the Undersecretary from the state, which is great, John Barrows from Economic Development here in the city of Boston, and Really, when I think about companies like yours, I'm excited because of the talent in the city of Boston that's coming here. A quick question, show of hands. How many of you went to college here? How many of you, keep your hands up, how many of you that went to college here are not from here? So when you think about, you're not sure if you well, Boston. The reason why I bring that up, it's over the last bunch of years, really, Boston has continued to grow as a city in innovation, technology, startups. What you're doing here today, mobility, is so important to the future of our city. As we think about Boston growing, we're a different city than we ever have been. We have a lot more, a lot of companies doing some innovative things here. And I was saying, as I was doing the tour, I went to Copenhagen. I was in Copenhagen a couple weeks ago, and as I was there, what really struck me was the mobility piece of Copenhagen, where people are in incredible shape. They're running, they're walking, they're jogging, they're riding bikes. 50% of the people that travel in Copenhagen travel by bicycle. In Boston, I think that we're in the single digits, very low right now. But we really have to start thinking outside the box. And what your company does and what you each individually do is make us think that way. How do we think outside the box? How do we think about innovation as a city moving forward? So I want to thank you for that. I also want to let you know that we're working on, how many of you live in Boston? How many of you have more than one roommate? Yeah, so that's another thing that we're working on is housing in our city. I know that's not the reason I'm here today, but one of the things that we're really focused on is Boston has grown through this incredible growth spurt in the last 5 years. We have 50,000 new people living in the city of Boston. We have 120,000 new people working in the city of Boston. And the issue, what we're kind of caught in here is we weren't prepared for the growth on transportation sector side, and we weren't prepared for the growth on the housing side. And we're doing a lot of work, and all of these folks are laser focused on creating opportunities for housing. We're working on displacement, so people that live here, grew up in the city, aren't being pushed out by young people making good money. But we're also working to create more middle class housing, something that's really important for us. So I just ask you, as you think about Boston, you think about the future of Boston, get engaged in the process. We want you to get engaged in the process because it's so important. If we want to continue to be innovative, if we want to continue to be competitive with the rest of the world, and quite honestly we are as a city, we have to think about ways of improving quality of life. And two things I think that are most important in front of us right now over the course of the next few years is creating more opportunities for housing, particularly middle class housing. We lead the country in low income housing. 1 out of every 5 units is low income deed restricted, which is good. We still got to continue to do that. But we also have to figure out how do we get this middle class housing piece figured out, because if we don't, what's happening is people being pushed out of the community. And a lot of you, how many of you live in Somerville? Or you live in an adjacent city next to Boston? And I think many of you might want to live here in Boston if you could afford to, but you can't. So we're going to continue to work to make sure we move forward there. So those are just kind of on a little political side of it. But what you're doing here is so important. I want to thank you. I want to thank the company and thank all of you for what you do. Innovations are key to the future of our city and the success of our city. So thank you for allowing me to come here and say a few words. And also to you guys, thank you for being here in Boston. Thank you for investing in Boston. Thank you for believing in Boston. Thank you for creating, your warehouse in Boston and your technology in Boston. That is so important for the future of our city. Last thing I'll say, young people here, do me a favor. I'd love to see you mentor kids. I'd love to see you get engaged in our public schools. There's a ton of young people in our school system that are in high school right now that don't think that this is an opportunity for them to perform in, and they don't know what they're going to do for work. And I think if any of you want an opportunity, please, I'd love you to have mentoring young people. It's so gratifying, and it's an opportunity for you to really get a chance to see firsthand and actually change the outcome of a young person's life. Giving them an opportunity, tell them your story. We all have a story. Our stories are unique to ourselves. Tell your story and explain what brought you to this moment in time, what brought you to this company, what brought you here. I don't think many of you, when you're in high school, thinking, I'm going to go work at a company and create something special that's going to change mobility in the world. And if you had that opportunity to talk to some young people, I'd love that. So thank you.
Secretary Walsh, Fuller was going to say a few words.
I'll take Walsh here. Not easy. First of all, I want to second the mayor in congratulating all of you on this tremendous day of success. It sounds like we might even have a fan that has 4 legs. We're making progress on mobility already. That's good. But I did just want to say how thrilled we are that you're in Massachusetts, that you're in Boston doing this great work here. I know the governor, Governor Baker, Lieutenant Governor Polito, and the entire administration really shares that sentiment. As I was learning a little bit about your story, it's amazing how much you have accomplished here just a few short years. From doing a global search, to choosing Massachusetts and Boston as your home, to hiring this great team, getting this space set up, and obviously expanding even more. If I had the trajectory correct, I think we're due to be back here in 9 months for another expansion. So as we go out of space, we've already marked it in our calendar, so no pressure on the rollout of the product here. But I did just want to say a couple things. First of all, it's always a great vote of confidence when a group like Piaggio Group, who has 135 years of experience, chooses your community to set up shop and drive innovation. And it's a huge part of that is all of you, the workforce. People who are here doing the work of the work, driving that innovation, putting your brains to the test. And the state was incredibly happy and to support you with some workforce training funds. We want to make sure that level of support continues as you think about the products of the future, as you think about the skills you need to continue to grow your business, that the city and the state can partner with you to make sure that growth continues. And I think it's particularly appropriate we're here during sort of STEM week, STEM month. So I'm thinking about all the different kids in high schools, in colleges, and community colleges all around us that are going to be hopefully your colleagues in the future, thinking about the next level of innovation. So please take Mayor Walsh up on that offer to get involved and support your community. It's pretty exceptional what you guys are up to here, and looking forward to, I think it was November 16th, 18th, just to see the product launch. I'm not sure if I can afford the $3,000 price tag yet. I'm sure you guys will work to get that down. Fortunately, I can still carry my own groceries. But really looking forward to seeing what you're doing and hopefully seeing your products on the streets of Boston soon. Incredibly fantastic, and thank you again for having us, and all the best in your future success. Really, really exciting stuff.
Thank you for having me here. My name is David Muldrew. I'm the Assistant Secretary for the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development. I'm with Secretary Costa and with Secretary Jennifer James. And my role is the recruiter. I work closely with all our career centers, Mass Hire, and we identify your talent that you're going to need to grow. And you've been working with us approximately a year already. And we've had some great opportunities, had great meetings, working with Patrick, a few other folks, with the HR people here. And the product's incredible. The benefits are outstanding. And the culture, I can already see, is top notch. So we really want to work closely with businesses and have everyone get your feedback, find out as much as we can. I'm going to get our folks who are out in the career centers here to understand your product, understand the workforce, and then get you the best possible people you can. And diverse folks across the board, so that you have the best possibility, you have the best folks representing their areas with you to help you grow. So I truly appreciate it, and I will continue to work forward with you folks. Thank you.
Representative Ryan?
Well, thank you all for being here. Welcome to Charlestown. I know you've been here for a few months. And really, as the mayor asked, if you work here or live here, went to school here, I literally went to school here and lived here 50 years. I went to Bucket Hill Community College. It's half a mile from me. So when it says here, it's Charlestown to me, New England for maybe for everybody else. And that's important too, because you folks are occupying an area that was forgotten about for 30, 40, 50 years. It's a bunch of real beds back there. They used to ship out bricks and cardboard. That's what they made back here. Cardboard, and there's a few other things, but it was not innovative. It was stuff people needed. And then when the rail drive, people didn't even send the rail cars down here anymore because there wasn't any business. There was one company that was here that couldn't get a rail car down here because nobody would take a chance on this part of the world. That's why they call it the tavern at the end of the world right here. And it literally was, and over there was called the Lost Village. Everybody forgot about this end of Boston and Massachusetts. But I want to thank not just you guys for taking the chance here in Charlestown, but also Mayor Walsh and Lydia Edwards, because they both ran on making sure Charlestown was not forgotten. And we're gonna have brand new roads and bridges after being in North for 50 or 60 years, because people like you took a chance in starting a business here, because the mayor and Councilor Edwards took a chance on this community, this end of the world. And I thank you all for being here and also taking a chance here, and have fun. All right?
The last word is going to be for Councilor Edwards, who, as you heard, has played a really crucial role in animating and activating this part of Boston as well as the city as a whole. Councilor Edwards.
Thank you very much. So I think just following up on the from here and the where you can be here, I have to say honestly, you don't have to be Boston born to be from Boston.
Right.
I am not Boston born. I did not grow up in Boston, and yet I have the honor to represent 3 beautiful communities in Boston. That's Charlestown, East Boston, and the North End. And that speaks to actually the heart of the city, that you may not be from here, but you may do things that you never thought you could be, which is me as city councilor. I never thought that would happen in my life. But that speaks also to the opportunity and the growth and why it's so important to have wonderful relationships with new companies like this one. When I look at the workforce here, not only do I see diversity, but considering it's STEM week and seeing how many women here are part of the workforce, I'm extremely happy about that. And my job, and Representative Ryan's job, is to make sure that as you grow, we grow with you as a community. You will meet some of the young women and men in our high schools, in our elementary schools, who need to know about this opportunity, who need to know that this is something that they can be a part of. You're not only going to meet them, but you're probably going to come to a lot of their events. We have a wonderful parade here every year. We'll expect to see you there. And I'm saying all these things because, again, while I'm not born here, I'm from Boston now. This is my community, and to watch it grow and to watch it grow in an equitable way is my job. And it's also the mayor's job to make sure that not only are we growing in an equitable way, but a way that allows for you all to stay here and grow families as well. So we're on the job, and we're so excited that you're here to be on the job with us. And so if you eat anything, you know to call Dan Ryan. He's on Essex Street in Charlestown. I live all the way across the bridge in another place on an island called East Boston. But anyway, so I'm very excited to work with you. I look forward to our relationship deepening, so thank you.
So we're going to go on a little walk over to the factory and do a formal ribbon cutting ceremony over there. And anyhow, thank you again to all of our guests.
1, 2, 3.